Last year, 2021, a report from Oxfam found that collectively, the 10 richest men in the world own more wealth than that of half of the entire world population put together. The same year, a strange idea was adopted to explain how wealth and money was distributed in the world. This concept was called the wealth pyramid. A pyramid to explain who runs the money in the world, and the first thing that might stand out to you in this pyramid is this part right here. It shows that 45.8% of all the wealth in the world is owned and controlled by just 1% of the population. Almost half of the wealth in the world is owned by an extremely micro population. At the other end, half of the world population, the bottom half, collectively owns just 1% of the total wealth in the world. Other intriguing facts that personally hooked me in this pyramid is that 55% of adult population do not own up to $10,000 in net worth, and only about 1% of the world population own over $1 million in net worth. In African countries like Nigeria, for instance, 91% of us do not own up to $10,000, and less than 0.0% of us have over $1 million. All of these stats from 2020-2021. It is scary and amazing all the same. These facts spell out one obvious truth. Wealth is extremely uncommon, and only a few individuals, a very minute population, will have it in abundance. It has been this way for centuries. It doesn't change much. Wealth is never evenly distributed. Most people will never be wealthy. There will always be a fast stretch gap between the rich and the poor. But my friend, we are not here to discuss the statistics of the world in relation to poverty and wealth. We're here to talk about you. You probably don't belong to the wealthy percentage of the world. You are probably living an unsatisfying life of chasing money for as long as you can remember, but never arriving in the place of rest and financial freedom. And that is why you clicked on this video, because you are extremely unsatisfied and have always wanted a change. But first, we'll start from the roots. Something you have ignored, but is the very foundation of everything. It is a question you have never thought important to ask. What is wealth? Wealth is the abundance of valuable financial assets or physical possessions which can be converted into a form that can be used for transactions. Or simply put, wealth is having a great deal of money, resources or assets. While how much you need to have to be considered as wealthy is widely a debate, most people agree that you have to be a millionaire of some sort to be considered as wealthy. Overall, the definition of wealth is widely subjective and debatable. But here is the definition you really need to know. The wealth of an individual is defined as net worth, expressed as assets minus liabilities. Your wealth is the difference between your assets and liabilities. To simplify it further, your assets comprises of every and anything that potentially brings money into your life. Things like your job, your business, your skill, your land or some property your family owns. Liabilities is quite the opposite. Any and everything that potentially takes money from your life. Monthly bills, transportation, your rent, a toxic relationship, etc. So the bigger the difference between your assets and liabilities, the more wealthy you have. Essentially, if you have more money coming to your life than you have, live your life. This is the basic premises of wealth and poverty on an individual level. If you are broke, think it is because the difference between your earnings and spendings isn't much. Either because you don't earn so much, even though you don't spend so much, or because you spend so much and even if you have good money coming in, it doesn't show for it. Now, the idea is not just to reduce your spendings or liabilities, but rather to increase your earnings or assets so that you could spend freely as you would without worrying. This is the backbone of financial freedom. But obviously, it is easier said than done. In reality, it's not straightforward. It is very hard. Nonetheless, we can proceed from this point as we have adopted this understanding about wealth. Now, back to the question, why you would never be wealthy. You see, it is not a mystery, and the wealthy population do not have a special ability that is not accessible to the poor. Of course, there are a whole lot of factors that set the difference between the rich and the poor. Factors such as financial intelligence and skill, hard work, relationships and connections, family background, resilience, ability to take risks. You have heard about all of this, but have you heard about the poverty trap? Yes, the poverty trap. For most of us, this is the problem. A very difficult problem. By definition, a poverty trap is a mechanism that makes it very difficult for people to escape poverty. A poverty trap is created when an economic system requires significant amount of capital to escape poverty. When individuals lack this capital, they may also find it difficult to acquire it, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of poverty. In simpler terms, the poverty trap is the ugly situation of needing money to make money. It is the ugly situation of not being born into a wealthy family or not having immediate access to capital. Let's say you have a fantastic idea of a product you want to build. You need money to purchase needed resources. Maybe you have a powerful business model you have come up with. You need some capital, or probably you have taken time to study and obtain financial intelligence, and now you are seeing a beautiful investment opportunity. Well, you can't invest if you don't have money, can you? Also, assuming you have chosen a career path or you want to build yourself in a particular area, most times you need money to start something significant. You need money to launch your idea into fruition. What happens when you don't have this money? What happens when you can't access capital? For most of us, the answer is nothing. Nothing happens, and that's all. Mostly for as long as we can remember, we have been struggling. We have been managing the little we have. You have barely been living comfortable as you have been living on that salary, that little profit from your business. There is a host of problems to solve with that money. There are needs to attend to. There are issues that arise out of nowhere. It is so difficult to save anything substantial. You are so busy working, you are so involved in what is going on around you, playing a repeated cycle of waking up every day and rushing to work, only to come back home, have a little leisure, attend to a few things, sleep off and wake up the next day to restart the cycle. There is a lot of activity, but you are not exactly progressing. You are trapped and you can't make a significant change in direction. You just keep doing what you know to do. You just remain in your comfort zone, although not comfortable. But well, you can't leave, even if you wanted to, right? So you just do what you do, hoping that somehow things will change in the future. Maybe you will get a salary raise. Maybe you will eventually find a way to save and invest more in your business. Maybe you will get a nice contract. Maybe you will marry a rich partner, or maybe God would give you a miracle. You live every day with hope. Days turn into years and years into decades. You have a family now. Things are not quite bad. You've managed to carry on and you think you're okay. Of course, you're not living a luxurious life, but you're not uncomfortable either. In fact, you think you're successful in your own little way. Then you reinforce your situation with the belief that it isn't all about money. Life isn't all about money. In fact, money doesn't bring happiness. What matters is that you're happy, your family is coping, and you are contented with what you have. This is the average middle-class family, and it's beautiful, but you are not wealthy. Have you seen the problem yet? This is it. You are too busy being average. You don't get wealth by living averagely and staying in your comfort zone. You don't strike wealth by following the natural order of pattern, especially when you don't have a wealthy background. It simply doesn't work that way. It is extremely difficult to break out of average into wealth, and only those who have really decided not to settle for less and are obsessed with a choking resilience and passion will ever get there. The only other exception is if you're lucky. Believe me, you don't want to live your life to luck. So you really have to actively decide to be wealthy. The proof of your decision is your plan and your ravaging appetite for learning. The proof of your decision is your inability to settle for less. Have a glance at all the self-made billionaires and millionaires. They all started from scratch like you, but unlike you, they found their own path and worked day and night to make their dreams come true.
And just work like hell. I mean,
you learn the passion, you learn the dreams.
I did not inherit any money from my father. I built everything from scratch.
These people are a compendium of practice, patience, skill, guts, and resilience, all gathered from the painful experience of trying and trying again, never giving up on their dreams till they got there. It is not going to be easy, but do you dare to be different? Or are you going to settle for less like those before you? You can't afford to be like everyone else. You can't. You simply can't. The best question to ask next is, how do I escape the poverty trap? What exactly am I supposed to do when I don't have money, when I don't have a capital? Presently, I'm even in debt. Are there practical steps to take to exit the poverty trap? Because I don't see what I can do exactly. Yes, there are. Millions of people have gotten wealthy, rising from the mud and starting from scratch. But first, it is important that you adopt this new mindset. Then you are able to change how you think and throw the doubts away. What that does to you is that it allows creativity to freely flow in and ideas begin to flourish. The worst enemy to creativity is self-doubt. The video after this will have only one purpose, which is to show you how to start from scratch.
Don't worry. You fall, you stand up. You fall, you stand up.
If you feel it is deserving, subscribe to this channel. And if this video changed something in you, leave a like on the video. See you soon, my friend.